Hello, my name is David Woodcock, Media Specialist for Washington City. Today, I'm here with Washington City's Financial Manager, Kimberly Ruesch.
Hey David.
Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So Kimberly, we've had some questions from the community, and I thought who better to answer those questions than you yourself when it comes to budget and all things financial for Washington City.
Will you introduce yourself and tell us what you do for Washington City?
Thanks, David. I'm Kimberly Ruesch, as we've mentioned before. My actual title is the Administrative Services Manager for Washington City. And what that actually means in real terminology is that I oversee Washington City's finance, mostly budgeting. So how do we plan on spending our money? The accounting side to make sure that we are properly accounting for all the money that's coming in and out, and then the auditing phase of the finances for the city.
Perfect. Thank you, Kimberly. So Kimberly, how can our community gain access to our city's financial information?
We have a couple of different tools that our citizens can use if they want to become more familiar with the financial information for the city. The main place that I direct them to would be to our actual city website. So if they go to washingtoncity.org/finance, they're going to come to the finance page where we have the budget resolutions, just some different documents that they can click on to see the budget or our audited financial statements. But then the neater things are we have some links that will drive our citizens to a couple of different sites that we have available that help display information that Washington City has regarding finances and make it in a more user-friendly approach. So one of those websites is called the Utah Transparency website, and it can be found at Utah.gov/transparency. And this site is a site that the state actually put together about 5 or 6 years ago, and all of the government agencies within the state, including school districts, present and post their revenue and expense transactions. And those transactions are uploaded on a quarterly basis. And then annually, we also post payroll information. So we are required to provide the actual wage and income of all of our employees at Washington City, as well as their benefits that we pay out. And that information can all be found on that Utah Transparency website that we participate in. And then we also have another site that we recently rolled out by partnering with Utah.gov, and it can be found at washingtonut.opengov.com. And this information is budget to actual information. The Utah.gov platform is actually a really neat organization that we've partnered with that helps transform some of the more complex financial information into interactive reports that make it easy for people to see how we are collecting and spending taxpayer money. So it's really a great tool that we've made available to our citizens, and that information is displayed at a comparative level of budget to actual, but we actually upload all of our transaction information to that site as well, so that you can drill in and see the transactions that are occurring on a monthly basis at that site.
What is the current process that Washington City uses to determine its budget?
Well, probably the easiest way is to group it up into 4 different segments that we have, or phases we like to call it. So the first phase is called the assessment phase, and it typically happens in December and January. And during this phase, we're basically assessing the financial condition of the city, looking at some of our forecasting tools and things that we have. We'll be sending out citizen surveys. We review the city strategic plan and meet with the council about their objectives for the upcoming year and the things that they'd like to help us see us implement and accomplish financially within the city during that phase. The second phase that we roll into, we call the development phase, and it typically takes place between February and March. And this particular phase is kind of the beginning of putting the budget together. So we started with, within the finance department and the city management office, we put together what's called a budget assumption sheet that's mostly made up of the information that we collected during the assessment phase, where we give a little clarity to the departments on the things that they need to be planning on and preparing as they put their budgets together. And they're going to be looking at the short and long-term operating needs of their different departments, during this phase, as well as capital outlay and staffing requests. Those are the main things that kind of occurred during that development phase. The third phase that we roll into takes place generally during the month of April. And in this phase, we call it the review phase. And this phase is when the budgets have basically been requested initially by the department heads. And the finance office, as well as the city manager's office, we get together and we begin to review these department requests. And then the city manager looks at these budgets to make sure that they are meeting the city needs, that they are following the council priorities. We want to make sure that they're maintaining the fiscal integrity of the city. And then the end result, as we put all that together, would be that we have a balanced budget that we're able to take and present to the council in the tentative phase, and then make it available for review by our citizens during these public hearings that would be coming up. Then the final phase that we have is the adoption phase, and that happens typically through the months of May and June. And again, this is the phase where the city manager will present the tentative budget to the council. This year, that will take place on April the 27th. And then during that meeting, the council will also set and schedule the public hearing for the review of the budget. Right now, it's anticipated that the council will set that public hearing date for the city council meeting that will be on May the 11th. And then after that, the council would have a public hearing and we review it and see if there are any changes that need to take place. And then if not, then we'll have the final adoption of the budget on June the 8th.
Fantastic for our community. So as a citizen or individual in our community, how can they make a difference in how we use finances in our budget? If they maybe don't like where we're using finances, or they want to see them go in different areas, or they just have an opinion?
I think that I would really encourage the citizens to simply engage. If you're interested, there are lots of opportunities to engage and to become familiar with what's happening in Washington City. I would suggest that you come in and meet with the city and ask to take a tour. We're happy to take you around, show you the different facilities that we have and all of the services that Washington City provides that are utilizing the funds that we bring in. You can also attend council meetings and planning meetings. Almost every Wednesday out of the month, there's some type of a planning meeting or a city council meeting that's taking place that if you're interested, feel free to come out and see what's going on. Our IT staff has really made it quite easy for citizens to find out what's going on in council meetings. If you're not able to personally attend, those meetings are actually recorded. They're rebroadcast on the community education channel, or they can be viewed live over the internet, and those recordings are also available to be reviewed at a later date. So you have, even if you can't make the live meeting, you can definitely check out the agenda and see if there's anything that you're interested in, and you can review that. I'd also encourage citizens to sign up and participate as part of our survey panel. So we have a survey panel made up of citizens throughout the city, and it's open to anyone who's interested, as long as, I think the only requirement is that they're actually a resident of the city. But we will send out surveys several times during the year, and one of those surveys will be a budget survey that goes out, of which we ask maybe some budget priorities and how you'd like to see the revenues spent within the city, or to determine whether you feel like we're meeting the appropriate service levels that are needed within Washington. One of the other things is, again, go and review these different websites that we have where our transactional information is there, and you can become familiar. I really encourage you to take a look at the Utah.gov platform that we have. Again, you can view that at Utah.gov.com, and you can see all of our budget to actual information on how the city's funds are being collected and spent. And then come in and meet with me. I would love to meet with anyone who's interested and wants to gain a better understanding of the city's finance and how maybe financial accounting works here. And I do have a program where I call it the Citizen Emissary Program, where you can come in and become familiarized, and then I will kind of send out information, make sure you're up to date and aware whenever we have public hearings on, and let you review our budget documents before they go out, and just you can become a tool to help the finance division really make sure that the information that we're putting out can be understood by our citizens on a very basic level, and that there's not any questions there. And so I really encourage you to help assist us in that and making sure that we're meeting and addressing your concerns here at the city.
That's fantastic. I mean, there's so many different ways our community can engage and be, proactive with what's taking place in the city, our budget, what's going on, that they need to take time to interact with us as a city and let us know what they would like us to do to help achieve making our community a better community.
You bet. We are super excited and welcome anyone who would like to become more familiar with the finances of Washington City.
Kimberly, thank you for answering these questions today. I know our community really appreciates this level of transparency and that there's these wonderful outlets for them to find information about our budget. We would encourage you to do these, to go out and to be aware of what our city is up to financially. And if you have any other questions what's going on in the city about other departments, feel free to email me at dwoodcock@washingtoncity.org. As well as any budget information, feel free to contact Kimberly Ruesch. We're here to make sure that you're informed and that you're participating in what's taking place in Washington City. Thank you.